Good morning, CPTI students. I made this extra lecture because Tarot and we were talking about the research question yesterday. And I hope my lecture with Dr. Bill Privet at Vanguard University, USA was helpful. It was 50-minute lecture of our 20 lecture series in 50 minutes. So if you want to refresh your memory, watch that. But Tarot had a question about research question, how to approach. And after talking to him, I thought it would be helpful for everybody to do this just only about research question. So why don't we go there? Because I think it will not just Tarot, but it will help everybody. So let's have a special lecture on research question. 박수. 박수 has become universal language. Everybody, even in America, they know what 박수 is. It means clapping in Korean. So the first step for any research method or thesis writing, whether it's a master thesis, PhD thesis, 10-page paper, doesn't matter. You have to have a research question. You must have a question, right? That's step one. That's the only thing I'm going to cover today. How to develop a strong research question. That's what this lecture is about. Developing, because it's developed, it's not discovered. It's not like, I discovered my research question. It's not like that. It's development, which means that step by step, step by step, step by step. So if you take this step, doesn't matter, you're smart, not so smart. If you could do this step one, step two, step three, A, B, C, D, right, like that it's development, not discovery, right? You don't have to look for it. It's just like, okay, step one to go to step two. That's what development is. So developing the research question for one CPTI student. I made this lecture just for one student, but I think as I share, everybody will benefit because I think everybody had the question too. But Darod asked me. He said that I think it's about church planting and something about Reformed theology. I said, that's good. So you start with the question mark. Step one, now you're developing your research question, okay? And then it becomes, you begin to have it as an idea. Like you start out as a question, like, well, yeah, church planting, yeah, it's something about Reformed theology. It's a question mark, but it begins to have idea. It begins to like a light bulb coming. And it's about CPTI church plan, not Methodist, not Baptist, CPTI church plan of 150 churches. And I found one church. Who's that? Right? Well, you could find the church. I don't know. I don't have any connection with CPTI church. Right? Just find one. Or talk to Watsna, Pastor Watsna. And then it becomes a full idea. Okay? So let me repeat. It always starts with vague, general idea. I think it's about church planting, right? It's not about worship. It's not about sermon. It's not about history. It's about church planting. So it's general. But not just church planting, but church planting using or applying or students who study at CPTI, Reformed theology, not Baptist theology, not Methodist church, not AOG theology, Reformed theology of Calvin. So, and then it's going to be about CPTI church plan. And I found one church. That's something I cannot help you with because I don't have any connection with CPTI church. So that becomes a full idea. All good research question with the workable, it's a research question, right? All good research begins with the workable, right? Number one, it has to be clear, right? Number two, it has to be focused, concise, researchable, right? What does it mean? Clear. You have to have a keywords in your question of what you want to research. For example, you must have research in your question, church planting, because your thing about is church plant, right? And the new concept, what is the concept? Reformed theology. That's what you want to research about. So in your research question, it clearly has to be written, church planting has to be written, Reformed theology has to be written. Who's the key informant? Meaning, who's the key person? Inform you. Is it a book? Is it a person? If it's a book, write the book title. If it's a person, well, what's not? Professor Watson now talk about he did this wonderful church. Well, talk to him, interview him, but put him in, right? Has to be focused. What time period? Is it 1,000 years ago, 100 years ago? Is it now? So, last 20 years, last 10 years, because you're also doing a research for master thesis, you cannot cover too long because you really want to only end in about 80 pages, not 250. So make sure the time frame, you set a time frame. Space is where? Is it in Europe? Is it a Cambodia church in Long Beach? Or is it Cambodia church in Long Beach? Or is it Phnom Penh? Is it Phnom Penh or is it Kampong Cham? Are you willing to travel to Koh Kong for interview, or are you just going to interview people in Phnom Penh? Are you going to do one church or three church and compare? So it's very easy. Set the time. Just write this down. Don't like, oh, what do I do? What do I do? Just sit down, right? Just sit down and write it out. Okay, 10 years. Where? Well, it's in Cambodia. Where? Phnom Penh. Where? How many churches? One or two. Is it difficult? Is it that difficult? You have to struggle. Oh, I don't know what to do. Or just decide. Am I going to do one church in Phnom Penh or three church in Phnom Penh? Am I going to do one church in Koh Kong or three church in Koh Kong? If you don't want to go Koh Kong because you don't have time, then don't do Koh Kong, right? Don't say I'm going to go Mondolkiri. Why? Right? I'm going to go, Ratanakiri. I haven't been to Ratanakiri yet. So is it going to be Phnom Penh? Yeah, okay. How many church? One or three? How much time do you have for your master? Just do one church if you don't have much time. But what's the main concept? It's CPTI reform theology, right? So put that in your question. And it has to be concise, means very succinct, actually very dense, condensed, right? Don't say on and on and on and on in your question, right? Don't even make a statement in your question. I believe reform theology is helpful. So what do you think? Well, that's called leading question. You don't want to ask a question like that. What is a research question that is concise? Core argument in one paragraph. Reform theology helped to plan healthy church that keeps them from cults. Research about that. You believe because CPTI students' church plan will not go to cult. Can you prove that? Or is there any CPTI pastor who joined Korean cult or Seventh-day Adventist or not Seventh-day Adventist, Jehovah's Witness or Mormon? Is there any CPTI pastor after being trained at CPTI and plant a church, did anybody join cult? Find out. And then see how, if not, how reform theology helped them from joining cult. Because a lot of Cambodian pastors are joining. An Sang-hong, Park Ok-soo, even one of the key pastors in Cambodia joined Park Ok-soo and became cult. Well, study them and said, well, because he did not have reform theology, he joined cult. Don't just say that. Conclude, argue, research that. Tell me, interview that person or learn about that person, that famous Cambodian pastor who joined Park Ok-soo. Now he's a front man for Park Ok-soo, right? Share a little bit about him. And then, is there any CPTI graduate who joined Park Ok-soo? How come? And then you could argue, because we study reform theology, we're not joining cult. That's a brilliant idea. I think they'll make a good master thesis. Is it researchable? Right? Research survey. What do I have? Do I have access to these people? Do I have reading? Do I have interview access? Of course, you're in Cambodia. If someone from Long Beach wants to do this research in Cambodia and he cannot fly in, then he should not. But you are here in Cambodia. So you should not talk about person in Long Beach or England or Korea, because you're not going to go there. You're not going to interview. You can do through Zoom, but you know what I'm saying. Time goal. How much time do you have? Really? To write 80-page paper and you need to submit by next year? And be reasonable. Don't say that, so just make the decision, right? And as I said, all good search begins with who you are, out of who you are. So Darot is graduate, CPTI, reform, CPTI graduate, and he wants to be a professor. So this is very important for Darot. That's good. As a reform theologian, Yeah, you could defend it, but make sure it's yours. Tarot is make sure it's yours, just like it's mine, not others. Because I am a pastor, but I am a church planting pastor, right? I planted 5 churches in LA. I helped plant 27 churches in Siberia. So all the question is as a church planting pastor, but you haven't planted church, right? If you've not, then you could not have my question. And make sure it's your research question, not answer, right? What do I mean by that? Don't write a book, write a research paper. Really start with curiosity mind and really try to find out, is it true? Do you think because we are Reformed theologian that we don't join cult? Is it true? Or if you already made a decision that, well, because we study Reformed theology, we'll never join cult, then that's a wrong approach. You need to have an open mind. You have to start as a question, not an answer, right? You honestly have to want to know, did Reformed theology really help them not joining cult? Or was it something else? Start with question. And what you really, really, really want to find out and know, then you can be passionate about. Don't just do it to write a paper, thesis. Why not in Cambodia? I said, why Methodist Church in Cambodia? You stopped at 150. Is it a money issue? Is it really money issue? I really find out. And I found out that it's not money issue. See, I could have written a book about, well, Cambodian pastors are financially dependent because they're, dependent. No. And then you write that question. Primary question. You start with primary question. Did Reformed theology help Reformed theologian? Okay, your primary question, Darot, is, did Reformed theology help CPTI graduate pastor to joining cults or not? Secondary question, where is the example? How many did not? How many did? Okay, and then put it on the wall, right? So if you, after seeing this, if you still have question, write to me, right? Kakao talk me in private, and then I want to make sure that I'm going to walk this journey with you together, so that you come up with research question. And this applies to all the CPTI students, 8 of you. If you still haven't formulated, if you're still struggling, write me a possible research question. Okay, and I'll try to help you with that. Okay, guys, Lord bless you. Love you guys. I hope to receive your final paper soon. Bye.